So, we finally got back after walking that endless field, whatever the hell. I'm still not even sure if that was real.
I think I saw Casio Mechanico over on the side. Sitting amongst a bunch of daisies.
Yeah, a little bit. I forgot what I was doing when I was trying to sell off my organs and I accidentally bought more.
No, you're supposed to buy more livers. No one needs more kidneys.
Yeah, that's a special type of intestine. It smells really bad. More than all the other bad-smelling things in this universe.
Yeah, because regular ones smell like cinnamon.
Alright, let's get ready. We bought it a long time ago when we gamed the stock market, after we successfully maxed the shit out of it. It's time to make good on the American dream that we had bought years and years ago.
We've already killed our boss like 4 times. I don't see how we can get any more dreams.
How about being a homeowner?
Never gonna happen. That's not a dream, that's like pie in the sky.
I mean, that's what I call dreams these days.
Nah, fair point.
Double check and make
in
sure.
This economy?
More likely than you think.
Is it though? Is it really?
I mean, more likely in that you're more likely to dream about it on the regular.
Ah, you've got me there.
And apparently 30 years have passed since we started this. Yep. And hey, look on the bright side. No more landlords.
But who are we going to kill for enjoyment?
Our neighbors, because they hate that we moved out to the countryside where they are. I'm not even kidding.
I mean, I don't like my neighbors either.
Like, our house is as isolated away from the community as much as possible. Oh yeah, also the water is blood now. That's a result of getting the first ending.
Right. Genuinely wasn't sure if that was just, part and parcel of the stage or not. Because
no.
This fucking game, who even knows?
Yeah, it's all blood red now, if we go back to any other level that has water.
Holy shit, round things in this game. That only serves to make it look even weirder.
Yeah, we'll deal with those a bit later. For now, just kind of want to explore a little bit. Like, this is... Okay, kind of going back to, like, the few times that there's music in this game that is actually somewhat listenable. This is the most listenable piece of music the game has. Like, it still sounds like that you're going under anesthesia while listening to it.
While a horse stares at you with its empty eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason we're not situated in the same neighborhood as the other people living out here is because they hate what kind of a disgusting augmented freak we are. Because we lived in the city. And you know how, like, these rural folks get real snobbish and uppity about new people coming into their small, tight-knit community, which is probably massively dysfunctional.
And probably massively inbred.
Yeah. So Alabama, that's where we ended up.
Heyo!
Hi, Brad.
Make me a bookcase.
Like, you're at least like the one person who is like he's not only totally fine with us, but he also has like a similar level of contempt for the other people in the community, like that's in this area. He just puts up with it because he knows he still gets business from them. It's like, hey, build me a thing. All right, I'll do it.
I think Brad is the least objectionable person we've encountered in this entire fucking game.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good people, Brad.
Yeah, he's just not trying to start or instigate anything. He's like, look, this is my job. The customer's not always right, but they are the customers, so I still get do business with them.
They need me. They hate it. That's great.
So yeah, the enemies are just standing out in the open, bearing their guns, ready to shoot any motherfucker that they find is unwanted in this area.
Just like North Carolina.
Yep. This really is the American dream. Also, I know we made the joke about the Z fighting issues that were showing up in that one section of Office, but this is the one where I feel like it's actually kind of starting to take me out a bit more than it should. Large stretches of the pavement should not be clipping through the grass like that. It just should not.
Yeah, it's starting to look like an early PS1 game, isn't it?
Yeah, or just like a shoddily made PC game from the 90s. Like, early days of 3D before people figured out, like, actual good techniques. Weird fountain design over there, I gotta say. There are definitely things like those, like installation type objects combined with, like, the textures that are just, like, weird, like, artistic pictures that reminds you, oh yeah, Kalio's artistic sensibilities were not designed specifically for this game. This is just how he always does his works.
Say what you will, but at least he's consistent.
Yeah. Even the new game he's working on looks to be pretty consistent, to the point that I would not be surprised if, like if some passerbys might be confused into thinking that what he works on is, like, a direct continuation of Cruelty Squad, just because of how it looks. No, that's just how he sees the world. Like, yeah, it's a different type of game. This one's an immersive Hitman simulation, and the other is basically like a flying, customizable gunship game. Yeah. Which I hope he figures out at some point, because he's showing off, like, clips of, like, his progress, like adding different systems or whatever. I hope he finds a way to fit 6 Degrees of Freedom in there, because I would be down for, like, a nightmarish-looking version of Descent or Free Space.
Didn't he say that someone asked if it was going to have any connections to Cruelty Squad, and he was like, I absolutely fucking hate games that do that, so not a goddamn chance.
I don't think he, I don't recall seeing if he did that. I think I saw at least, like, one comment, like, ask that, but I didn't stick around to see, like, if he, like, gave a response to it. Yeah. The only thing I know that is, like, a commonality between, like, what he's currently developing and when he was developing this is the realization he had where, according to him, his work productivity improved when he added NPCs into Cruelty Squad because he just wanted an excuse to, like, kill them, like, in between, like, just the tedium of, like, implementing all this other shit. And when he did the same thing for the new thing he's working on, he was like, yep, this is reproducible, it totally works.
I mean, whatever helps motivate you in the morning or afternoon.
Yep. Dude was also keeping a flesh pig in his own house.
Well, everyone's got to have a hobby, I suppose. Just don't ask too much about what he was doing.
So the dialogue from these three targets is especially interesting. You know, coming off of, like, what we already discussed with that first ending at the end of Archon Grid. This is getting into another aspect of the Cruelty Squad universe that is, like, everything else about this game.
Intestines deep into the ground. Why do I feel like we've seen that before?
Metabolic domination.
Now that's a metal band.
And then we have I followed the teachings of FuckBro99. This is what happens when you get terminally online people looking up to Twitter folks way too much. But yeah, all three targets are basically spewing parts of what is essentially Cruelty Squad's creation myth.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, this is sounding a little bit in the beginning. Yeah.
And admittedly, we're kind of doing this out of order because, like, I try and, like, approach all the targets, like, in what's essentially a straight line with, like, the least amount of distance possible, which unfortunately meant coming here first and getting the second part of the myth. And we'll be getting the first and third later on. They're kind of not arranged in, like, the best positions. But it's the sort of thing where, like, we've seen enough of, like, how this universe operates, how cruel it is, and the fact that this is, like, operating on just the most, like, absurdly inhumane, like, level of capitalism that the system could ever reach.
Visceral capitalism, I think, is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah. So from that perspective, no shit that this game's like idea of a creation myth is 100% economic in nature.
In the beginning, there was suffering, and things have kind of progressed since then.
Yeah. I mean, the suffering was like the main part of like that second piece, but I think once we get the remaining parts of the passage, it becomes a lot clearer where it's coming from. But like it is referring ultimately to like these mythical beings called the Triagons, which I forget if that's also another thing related to Gnosticism or if it's just a term that's like made up specifically for this.
Not one that I'm familiar with, but then again, all things considered, my understanding of Gnosticism is relatively surface level. Yeah. Like, I most of what I know about it is the result of doing some reading after reading Grant Morrison, mostly The Invisibles, because that comes up quite a bit in there.
Right, yeah.
Haven't really delved into any texts or anything, so it could be, but it's not anything that I'm familiar with.
Definitely grateful that like that there are still plenty of unarmed NPCs in the town square, and they don't have anything mean to say to us. But that's also probably because they don't perceive that we're here. I imagine that's how like a lot of like these like random NPC dialogues are. It's like you tell them to say stuff, but they're not saying it to you. Except for the special NPCs, such as this. Like, so yeah, we're not going to be getting any like service from this doctor should we ever get hurt. But I mean, what do we need a doctor for? We have like a genetic recombiner every time we like fuck up and explode.
Yeah, getting hurt in a world like this kind of has no meaning anymore.
Nah, it still probably hurts like shit.
Oh, absolutely, but, it's like losing an arm's no different to getting a paper cut.
Yeah, that makes enough sense, for sure. Real jiggly corpses right now, they're just... they're having a hard time staying still laying on, like, the flat ground for whatever reason.
They're not just vibing, they're just vibrating.
Yeah. Someone flipped the switch on like the remote control dildo and it just hasn't stopped.
Which I think actually happened in an episode of House. I don't know, it's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah, I've not watched the show. I know that that's the obvious joke with this level being called House.
We had to. Someone had to.
And I also know that there have been constant fan edits online of how, like, the main character of House himself is, like, looks like Gordon Freeman without the glasses.
Yep. Trust me, if you're ever gonna watch it, watch the first 2 or 3 seasons and then just tap out, because each season gets significantly worse until right at the end when it's basically unwatchable. First couple of seasons, though, good stuff.
That sounds about right for that level of, like, drama television.
Yeah. It's right up there with stuff like Lost and Heroes for shows that just completely vanished after the initial hype.
Yeah, I guess that is, like, a good category to, like, put them in. Even though it does feel like, in the case of Lost, that's still a special kind of bad, considering they just made, like, the golden mistake of thinking they could, like, keep making up more mysteries and bullshit and not have to answer for it.
Yep. And it's especially galling since they said at the beginning, we have a plan for everything. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, they're like,
clearly
oh
didn't.
God, what have we done? And then Battlestar Galactica, the reboot of that, was like, we have a plan for everything. And it's like, oh God, we did the same thing.
Yeah, just... fuck that mystery box mentality.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like... it doesn't feel like a proper mystery unless it's like... well, I guess in the case of Lost, there was still kind of the illusion that maybe there was, like a hidden answer to it that you wanted to get at the bottom of. But so often it feels like that, like, just the term mystery gets thrown out when, like, all anyone is actually referring to when they say that is secret. Because it comes off more as, I know a thing that you don't. And it's like, cool, what reason do you have to give me the fucking care?
I mean, there's stuff like Westworld. The writers of that said that they deliberately went and changed some plot points because people on Reddit had worked out what was happening. And I was like, yeah, that shows that it's a good mystery then, because you've left clues and people are able to follow it. That's good writing. What you're doing is just a shocking swerve for the sake of it.
Yeah, just like it's just a full like disrespect to anyone that is actually putting in the brain power to like figure it out.
Yeah, and when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, you've sacrificed the story just for people talking about your show on Twitter. So, yeah, I'm just gonna drop your show now.
Also, kind of by extension, why I dislike spoiler culture, because they act like just nothing is like worth experiencing if you just know exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, half the time someone's saying, "Oh, by the way, this happens in this book," and I'm like, "Oh shit, that actually sounds really interesting. Let me get some of that." Like, most of my favorite shows and movies I've gotten into because someone spoiled some of the cool plot twists.
There's the first part of the Trigon myth, essentially creating life itself. Which then, if you go back to like what the second part of it was about, it was essentially creating like suffering.
And saying that life is essentially an infection of some kind.
Yeah. Now, once we get to the third part, that's when it starts to make a lot more sense as far as how, like, I described offhand that, like, the creation myth of Cruelty Squad is extremely economic in nature.
Yeah. I mean, we've made a couple of jokes about David Cronenberg, because, look at the game, how could you not? But the idea of life essentially being a terminal infection, that is very Cronenberg.
Yeah. No one else here in the house? Talk to this guy. Born of Death. And the first transaction, apparently. This, you could either read into this and think either Kallio is extremely learned in like old 20th or 19th century philosophy, or he was just digging around on the internet and stumbled upon the accursed share one time and just took away a paragraph or two.
I mean, there is also a bit of the whole creator, maintainer, destroyer to it.
Yeah. But with like the terms that they use to describe, especially with like infection and transaction and like the excess energy, that there's like a conservation and transfer of all of these aspects. Like going through like a biopunk super late end stage capitalistic nightmare, it makes sense that a creation myth like that would be viewed more from the lens of someone that is just like, yeah, everything has some manner of like arbitrary yet monetary value behind it.
Yeah,
and it's all about people trying to find ways to like exploit it for personal gain.
Everything has worth, but in an especially cynical way.
Yes.
Like there was I think it was a French philosopher, I forget what his name was, but he said that
Georges Bataille.
Yep, that's the one I was going to say. Who said that?
Yep, that's why I dropped the name The Accursed Share for a reason.
Said that the goal of human life was to waste the energy of the sun.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, so we had like that creation myth about the Triagons. Now let's kill the Triagons. That's what those things were. They bestowed upon us, I believe the first one, looking over again, it was power. Second was metabolism. And then what's the third one gonna get? This is
lovely horse.
Financial freedom. Yeah.
So,
yeah, that checks out. Again, with everything we've described.
Yeah. So that was, yeah, that was.
the interesting thing as well about doing that, as you probably saw from like the text that popped up in the top right, is that we get rewarded with extra things from killing them. One of those was an implant. The other was like, I think it was like a new weapon, and then the other was just another $1 million.
Yeah.
And we have our own car as well, but it's not like we're able to really like get far. Like, I mean, I'm sure we could probably find a way to maneuver it over like that bridge across the river, but yeah, I don't know. I never tried like driving this car straight into the neighborhood, and just because I don't think there's like it's easy enough to maneuver, and even then, I don't think there. Well, shit, I guess I've not actually tried it, because I guess even in Paradise, there weren't many, if any, NPCs standing in the roads that I could just take the car and run over.
No.
So, like, I have no idea if it's possible to actually kill an enemy via roadkill.
You could theoretically kite some of the enemies, like the dogs, out into the main road, but...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Whether or not that would be possible or even worth it, I don't know.
Oh, wait, hold on. There was, like, that back passage that leads into Bin Laden's compound. I think that was wide enough that I could, like, fit the car in there if I wanted to.
Oh, this is actually quite a nice house.
Yeah. Devoid of a lot of furniture, though. There's a huge pile of copies of Gorbino's Quest for some reason. I don't even like that game. Must have been left over from the person who lived here.
I mean, it was fun, and then got a bit real.
Yeah, we kind of had to live through it.
Yeah.
And we had to deal with, like, the insufferable Dark Souls types who were all like, this is the Gorbino's Quest of life.
I mean, I like Bloodborne. Wouldn't want to live in it.
No.
But at least we've got a really nice sofa and a big-ass TV. Life is worth living.
Still need to get cable set up for it, though.
Cut the cord, man. Fridges don't normally operate like that, do they?
Yeah, don't mind that. Don't also mind the fact that, like, when I briefly, like, moved the camera across the window, the blood red water turned yellow.
Turned into an ocean of piss.
No, I was thinking more like ketchup to mustard, because it was like that kind of like shade of yellow that looked viscous enough that it doesn't immediately strike me as being piss. But yeah, that was the house. We killed our neighbors. We learned a bit about creation myths, and was bestowed upon us goods by weird things that we had to kill as well. We always get more things from killing. That's really the only way we've been able to, like, make any progress in this world.